Right. Good morning again. Today we are going to discuss on very important lesson. That is IELTS writing task 2, task 2 question types. So this is very practical. Very practical. The reason is that when you are going to face the IELTS writing paper, you are getting exactly these types of questions. Then you should know how to answer for those questions. Whether now you have studied already IELTS criteria and those kind of things for the best writing, but you should know what are the different question types. That is very important. Now here IELTS writing task 2 question, second question is very important for us. Mainly the IELTS second question, writing second question contribute more than 60% of your marks. Now, IELTS writing part 1 question around 40% of your marks, and this question contribute around 60%, more than 60% of your marks. So, then this question is very important. And again, I want to tell you there are 3 types of questions you can see here. First question type I call discuss model question. Second question type I call one-sided argument model. And third question type I call two-sided argument model. Before explaining them, I want to tell you, by looking at these 3 question types, this is the first type of question, this is the second type of one, this is the third type of one. Basically, when we looking at IELTS general and academic, IELTS general paper, 95% you will get this first types and second type of questions. IELTS general students, you want to make more focus on discuss model and one-sided argument model, but IELTS academic students, most of the time they will get this type of question, that is we call two-sided argument. So that is the thing when we looking at last 10 years IELTS papers, that is the thing we can see. Then this is first and second are very common in IELTS general writing paper. And especially the third question type is very common in IELTS academic question paper. Right. Now, what is my expectation of today's discussion? Give you a clear understanding and practical understanding how you are going to answer for these 3 types of question, and initially how you should understand what is the type of question. That's very important. Now look at first question, that is a discuss model question. That's a discuss model question. Now look at discuss model question, how question is, that's example question here. Higher education is considered as an integral part of our life. Higher education is considered as an integral part of our life. උසස් අධ්‍යාපනය අපේ ජීවිතයේ integral part ඉතාමත් බැඳුණු වැදගත්ම කොටසක් ලෙස සලකනවා. You see question start like this. Why higher education is important for us? Why higher education is important for us? Now you can see the first part of the question. The first part is why higher education is important for us. Then when you are going to answer it, definitely your answer there should be answer for this question. Why higher education is important for us? You have to think. What are the reasons? What are the reasons? And you have to explore it. You have to little bit explore it. Maybe you can select maybe 3 reasons and you explore it and very briefly explore it and tell why higher education is important. Maybe to get a best qualification. Then you tell why best qualification is important for us. To get a good job. Maybe another reason. Maybe another reason to get a social recognition. Then you little bit explain that. You explore that. That's the thing. That's the first part of the question. Now what is the second part of the question? What strategies we can use to do higher studies with? That's the second part of question. What are the strategies? What are the methods we should use to do higher studies with? The question says discuss. Discuss. So then this question is a discuss model question. There is nothing. It's very clear. This question having 2 parts. Why higher education is important for us? That's the one part of the question. The second part, what are the methods, what are the strategies we can use to do higher education well? higher studies field. Then you should think about these two things. What are two things we have to think? The first thing, why higher education is important for us. Now think about maybe few reasons. First one, to get a qualification, to get a social recognition, to get a good job, maybe to get a self-satisfaction, maybe to reach the upper middle income group or something. Likewise, you can think and you have to explore it. Then second part, what strategies we can use to do higher studies here? What are the methods? මොනවද ක්‍රම ඔයාලට යොදා ගන්න පුළුවන් higher studies හොඳට කරන්න? Maybe you can say better time management with time planning. Maybe use internet kind of resources and do good references. Maybe third one, balancing academic life and personal life with exercises and all. Likewise, you can think maybe three things and you have to explore. Then your answer here with our past experience, how should we can design? First paragraph, you have to paraphrase the question. The first paragraph of your answer, you have to paraphrase the question. What is paraphrasing? We studied in our initial date of the class. The idea of the question, you have to write by your own words. Then your second paragraph, you can allocate to explore why higher education is important for us. That is your second paragraph. Then third paragraph, you can allocate what are the strategies you adopt to do higher education well. Then what is your last paragraph? Conclusion. Based on that, you have to write a conclusion. Clear? So how to write a conclusion and how to write a special example, I will teach in coming weeks to you. Then our discussion on writing part 2 also going to finish. Right. Are you clear about this question? This is a discuss model question. Nothing to learn much. The question having maybe maximum 2 focuses. So your answer should focus on this question focus. Your first paragraph is paraphrasing. Second paragraph is the first focus of the question. Third paragraph is the second focus of the question. The last paragraph is conclusion. How many words? Maybe 260, 265 words. That's finished. That is a discuss model question. So this model is easy. You can easily understand the question. Clear? Right. Now look at second model. We call one-sided argument. What is one-sided argument? In this question type, we are making an argument by looking at a problem, looking at a social problem or economic problem or whatever the problem. We look at the problem, but our argument focused on only one side. Only one side. Why I want to tell? So every problem having two sides. Every problem having two sides. As an example, just think about now Sri Lanka facing some issues because of this Middle East war. Now this problem, how to handle, maybe there are two sides. One is that government can handle the problem while reserving, protecting their reserves. ඉතුරු කිරීම ආරක්ෂා කර ගනිමින් ගැටලුව විසඳන්න පුළුවන්. තව පිටසක් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකද්ද? මේ වෙලාව ඉතුරු කිරීම ගැන හිතන්න ඕනේ. ඔක්කොම වීදම් කරලා ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න. ක්‍රම දෙකයි. පැති දෙකයි. ඉතුරුම් රැක ගනිමින් facing the problem, ඉතුරුම් නැති කර ගනිමින් facing the problem. So that's the thing. Likewise, the one-sided argument, looking at the question, we have to make our argument to one side. Look at the question. The cost of higher education is the most sensitive factor in this field. Cost of higher education is the most sensitive factor in this field. Higher education field එකේ ඊටාම වැදගත්ම factor එක තමයි මොකද්ද? Cost එක. මේක නේද වියදම. You know, if we are going to do a degree, it is a millions of money investment. So then in the higher education, what is the most critical factor? Cost. That's why our A-level exam is such a competitive. The students know if they get a good results in A-levels, they can get the higher education free of charge. That's why this competition. The critical factor higher education is cost. Question එක බලන්න. Students should bear the cost of their higher education very clear statement is there. What is that statement? The students should bear the cost of their higher education. Very clearly, very clearly the students should bear the cost of their higher education. තමන්ගේ උසස් අධ්‍යාපනයේ පිරිවැය ශිෂ්‍යයන් දරාගත යුතුයි. ශිෂ්‍යයන් දරාගත යුතුයි. One sided statement. අනිත් පැත්ත ගැන කියන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ අනිත් පැත්ත හිතනවා ඇති. කවුද මේක දරා ගන්න ඕනේ? තව පැත්තක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතනවා ඇති. ඒක අමතක කරන්න. This question talk about only one side. What is the one side? Students should bear the full cost of their higher education. Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree? The questions, the one-sided argument questions ended up with like that. Do you agree or disagree? Sometimes it asks, do you agree? Do you agree? That's only. Maybe like this. Do you agree or disagree, or do you agree? That is the way question ends. Now, since this type of questions having very clear one-side statement like this, the students should bear the cost of their higher education. So very clearly one side, they don't talk about other side. Asking do you agree or disagree, what you have to do, first you decide whether you agree or disagree on this statement. Whether you agree or disagree, that decision you should take at the very beginning. Now tell me, Isha, now you tell me, do you agree with this statement or disagree with that statement? Students should bear the full cost of their higher education studies. අපේ උසස් අධ්‍යාපනයේ පිරිවැය අපි වැඩිදුර high studies කරනවා නම් ඒකේ වියදම ශිෂ්‍යයන් දරාගත යුතුයි කියලා කියනවා. ඒකට ඔබ එකඟද? Do you agree or disagree? What is your answer? You can select whatever you like. But most comfortable one you should select. තමන් කැමති දේ, තමන්ට facts තියෙන දේ, තමන්ට කරුණු තියෙන පැත්ත you have to select. Agree. You agree. You don't say agree. Agree. You all agree. Then since you all agree, think I am disagree. Since you all agree, I am disagree. That's our initial opinion. Then when you are answering for that question, when you are paraphrase the question and for your first paragraph, the idea of the question you have to write by your own words. So මේ question එක අදහස ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ own words වලින් ලියනවා. But first paragraph එකේ කෙලින්ම ලියන්න එපා කවදාවත් I agree with that statement. එහෙම ලියන්න එපා. But first paragraph එකේ නිකන් ඉඟි කරන්න ඔයා නිකන් මේකට agree වගේ කියලා ඉඟි කරලා කමන්නේ. As an example, when you are paraphrasing this, you can see in your first paragraph, your last sentence may be, I think students have a massive responsibility on their higher study cost. Students have a massive responsibility on their higher study cost. Students are ලොකු වගකීමක් තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ higher study cost එක සම්බන්ධයෙන්. ඒත් ඒ වගේ එකක් කියන එකෙන් නම් ඉඟි වෙනවා එයා මේකට කැමති වගේ. එහෙම ඉඟි කරන sentence එකක් ලිවීමේ කිසි වරදක් නැහැ. නමුත් කවදාකවත් ලියන්න එපා I strongly agree with that. ඒ වගේව ලියන්න එපා. ඉඟි කරන්න පළවෙනි paragraph. එච්චර. පැහැදිලිද? Then your second paragraph or maybe second and third paragraph, what you have to do? Now you have to put some facts to say to support your view. Why you agree with that? You think the student should bear the cost. Student should bear the cost. You agree, no? Then tell me why. Why you agree? Why you agree? Why you agree? Then maybe 3 points you have to explore. Why you agree? Yes, Gatrina.
Because our parents they feel responsibility for our continuous education, and I think we want to fully focus on our higher education because in my family I have two brothers.
Your responsibility. Your responsibility. Your responsibility. Any thoughts? Why? Why you should bear this cost? Now, if you agree, you should have some, maybe minimum three facts. Why you agree? Think. I will tell you. You will think more. Maybe one point is, by getting higher education, you will get benefit. You will get benefit. If you get benefit, definitely you should take the responsibility. You should take. Again, for the higher education, if you use your own money, you know you are spending your money, then you are doing higher education well. If you use your money. If you use your money. Again, that so some maybe poor governments, poor states can't afford everybody free education, free higher education. So then students should take that responsibility. Likewise, you can select maybe few facts and you explore that to support this argument. Since you all agree. Assume that I thought I disagree. If I select disagree, what I should do? I should bring some facts to support that. No, students should not bear. Students should not bear. If students should not bear, who are the other parts should bear? Naturally government. Naturally government. අපි bear කරන්නේ නැත්නම් කවුද? government එකනේ. මොකද USA වල අපිට ගෙවන්නේ නැහනේ. අපේ government එක. එහෙනම් අපි කියනවා දැන් මම එකක නැත්නම් මම කියනවා I should prove that why students should not bear. මම කියනවා if higher education cost, if students should bear, poor students may leave higher education. Why? They don't have money. They don't have money. My second point, if the students bear the full cost, their parents and students always in a big stress to find the money, so they can't do that. Third one, students after getting higher education, they serve for their country. They serve for their country. So government should take the responsibility. Likewise, I can support for the other side. So both sides we have facts and figures. Facts. So then, if you think agree, you should support to prove that. If you select disagree, you should support to prove that. But that is only one side. Agree one side, otherwise disagree one side. That's all. Is it clear to you? This is we call one-sided argument model. So most that you two, since you both are doing IELTS general, you most of the time will get this type of question or this type of question. But Ishan's case different. Since he is doing academic, there are more chances to get this type of question. That is called two-sided argument. That is called two-sided argument. You see the different two-sided argument questions basically coming in these two ways. One, that questions end up with, to what extent do you agree or disagree? To what extent? To what extent? Mona mattamaki. To what extent? Or otherwise, discuss both views or both opinions. Discuss both views. That is the way two-sided argument questions end. Understand this? What is that? Look at this question. The cost of higher education is the most sensitive factor in this field. Students should take up the full cost of their higher studies.